welcome and welcome back. It's Kesha, and we're still reading from Prosperity's 10 Commandments. We're in the middle of the 6th commandment. So let us center, and begin. So gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and out. Next deep breath in, pick up all the cares, the concerns, the worries, the dramas of the day. And release them fully. Next deep breath in, pick up any remnants that might be left behind, any fragments, any pieces left outstanding. And notice how when you've cleared away all the nonsense, you are left with your true essence. So let's focus on quickening and enlivening that essence. Deep breath in. Focus your attention inward. Feel your personal power rising. Feel it collecting, strengthening. Gently and lovingly recall all parts of yourself back. And feel those parts being cleansed as they move through the ethers and coming back to you. And on your next inhale, feel yourself whole and full. All of your power having returned. You may notice you're sitting up a little straighter. You may notice your chest is opened, your shoulders have come back. Your eyes have come back into the center of your head. Your head is centered more on your neck. And overall, there's a feeling of alignment. Deep breath in and feel that power, that strength. And now see a column of white light coming down over you. And this light is peace, calm, wisdom, knowing, all the resources you could possibly need. Notice how when you breathe in the light, it quickens the cells of the body. And you're brightened from within out. And feel the gentle love in that white light quicken the heart. Feel it opening and expand. Feel it amplifying and magnifying your vision, that you can see the truth and see it clearly. And see the light brightening and quickening your crown chakra as you are now open and receptive to greater wisdom than you were before. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. One of these days, we are just going to do that forever, right? We're just going to sit here until we time out. I love it. So here we are. Praise and faith are allied with circulation and life. Through praise and faith, we keep our consciousness alive to God's presence, and so keep His good circulating in our affairs. Wealth that is the result of faith in God's never-failing bounty and infinite goodwill can never hurt or harm. The possessor of such wealth loves the source from which it comes, the Heavenly Father, and not the wealth itself. He does not depend on his possessions for his happiness. He knows his happiness rests with God, and though circumstances may sweep away all the possessions, he need not be unhappy because it is his Father's good pleasure to pour fresh riches into his life. The years return to me that the locusts have eaten. Which is just a prayer for divine restoration, right? Those who depend on worldly possessions for happiness will always be restless souls. It says in our scriptures, "He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver." No one who gives his love to material things can ever be satisfied. The more he has, the more he wants, and the more unscrupulous he may become in trying to satisfy his craving. Material things, money and all that it can buy, are not evil in themselves. the definition of evil being the inharmonious mixtures of things inherently good. That's a definition you'd find in the Aquarian Gospel. It is the love of these things that develops greed and selfishness and kindred evils in men's minds. It says in the New Testament, the love of money is the root of all evil, which some, reaching after, have been led astray from the faith and have pierced themselves through with many sorrows. The Moffat translation into modern English reads, love of money is the root of all mischief. It is by aspiring to be rich that certain individuals have gone astray from the faith and found themselves pierced with many a pang of remorse. There is an interesting story in Greek mythology that illustrates graphically the sorrow that love of money can bring. We often speak figuratively of a man who has accumulated much wealth as having the Midas touch, meaning that everything he touches turns to gold. The idea of the Midas touch is based on the ancient myth concerning the god Dionysus and Midas, the king of Phrygia. In return for a favor, Dionysus granted Midas one wish. Midas had the ambition to be the richest man in the world. So he greedily wished that all that he touched might turn to gold. For a while he enjoyed the thrill of seeing his throne and all the furnishings of his palace turn to gold with the slightest touch. He then wandered into the garden and plucked one of its rare blooms, thinking to enjoy its fragrance. But alas, it turned into gold in his hands. He returned to the palace in thoughtful mood, and, being hungry, ordered food. But the food turned to gold, and he sat troubled and hungry at a table laden with rich viands. Just then his little daughter, whom he loved more dearly than anyone else in the world, came into the room and ran into his outstretched arms and turned into a little golden statue. In deepest despair, he prayed earnestly to his God, begging release from the curse that had once been his heart's desire. Dionysus sent him to wash in a certain river. He hastened to obey the command, dipped in the river, and came out with ass's ears, but free of the curse of gold. The implication is that he who sets gold above all else is nothing but an ass. When money is relegated to its rightful place in life, it becomes an outer symbol of God's abundance, a recognized medium of exchange of value for value received. When money is widely used as a medium of exchange, it embodies equity and honor. Our scriptures link money and wisdom, indicating that the two must be inseparable when money is rightly understood and rightly used. It says in Ecclesiastes, wisdom is a defense, even as money is a defense. Money is an outer symbol of God's defense against lack and limitation. Like all good, it must be kept in circulation. It has been said that riches could circulate through our affairs as air does through our lungs. Or riches should circulate through our affairs as does air through our lungs. We know that there is no good circulation of air in the lungs unless the exhalations balance the inhalations. When air does not circulate freely through the lungs, the result is congestion, which results in diseased conditions, which may eventually cause death. Again, we have an illustration of the fact that stagnation is death and circulation is life. In our present civilization, money is the life stream of the economic realm. It must be kept in circulation in order to do its work. Any economic system is a man-made plan of distribution of supply and has a spiritual counterpart that is the result of an unconscious spiritual urge to establish law and order and balance in the matter of supply. As long as money circulates freely, an economic system flourishes. When money ceases to circulate, disintegration sets in and the system slowly dies, until through some stimulus money starts circulating again and so resuscitates it. We have all heard the stories about how we got out of the Great Depression through the start of World War II and the significant ramp up in wartime production. That releasing of funds is what primed the pump to get us back into circulation. And this is the same thing, just more in the abstract. We see the economics of God working throughout the realm of nature. Plant life absorbs freely all that nature offers of light, heat, and nourishment. It uses creatively all that is received and then gives back to its creation to the soil. It gives back to the seed that it may grow and increase, and also gives back leaf, stem, and stalk to enrich the soil for the nourishing of the new seed. Nothing is wasted. There is a continuous action of receiving and giving in an endless cycle. There is an ancient saying, as the microcosm, so the microcosm. As the great, so the small. As within, so without. As above, so below. Ancient Hermetic wisdom, right? Each individual is a miniature universe. The laws that he sees operative in the universe around him are also operative in his own mind, body, and circumstances. He is within himself God-given potentialities that may be likened to the raw material under divine guidance he can mold into his outer needs. Through faith in the spiritual power and substance within himself and in the universe around him, he can demonstrate supply. But a knowledge of the economics of God, the laws under which God's good functions, is necessary to keep the supply constantly in evidence. The economics of God the economics of God is very simple. We receive justly for all that we give, and we must give freely if we would receive freely. We must keep our good in circulation, not only in thought and word, but in the realm of action, where the use we make of our money is always revealed. There are many ways in keeping money wisely circulating. One of the most important ways is giving to God and our fellow man. Using money for selfish purposes only is a form of hoarding. It is confining its use to the purposes of one individual. While this keeps the money itself in circulation, there is a state of congestion in the mind of the individual who is self-centered in his use of money. And he finds eventually that his money is not bringing him comfort in mind as well as in circumstances. Riches are a state of mind. Robert Burns, in his epistle to Davy, sums up this idea perfectly. If happiness hae not her seat and center in the breast, we may be wise or rich or great, but never can be blessed. Nay, treasures nor pleasures could make us happy lang. The heart is the part that makes us right or wrong. The man who has money and uses it intelligently, keeps it in circulation unselfishly, and gets enjoyment out of it, that is the rich man. The one who has it and hoards it, or the one who uses it only on himself, is still a poor man, no matter how much he has. The miser, for instance, is not a rich man. He is merely a collector. He collects stocks, bonds, and other securities in cash and leads a harried, worried existence, constantly obsessed with the fear that he will lose his possessions. Most miserly traits can be traced to the fear of poverty. All fear is congestion in the realm of mind, bred of a sense of separation from the divine source of supply. Because if you know that you are in the circulation of supply and that God is your source and it is always renewing and, flowing freely into and through you, then anything that you do that stops that flow will create the congestion that backs it up, that stops you from seeing it manifest again and again and again for you. And that only happens out of fear, right? The man who has faith in God as his never-failing resource uses his money fearlessly and joyously, knowing that his free and intelligent use of it is the guarantee of its increase. Such a man understands and obeys the sixth commandment: thou shalt not take thy wealth out of circulation. And there we have it. I want to just share with you one little idea here. How many of you are prone to saying, or if you grew up hearing the phrase, I'm down to my last, right? Insert dollar, whatever it is. When you get to a point, so when you're saying you're down to your last dollar, what that implies is that you're waiting for your next payday, right? In which case you're seeing that your job is the source of your supply. But if you recognize that God is your source of supply, then payday is any day you get money, and that could be any day because it's not related to the quote unquote 9-to-5 job that you do 9 to 5 for a certain amount of money on a paycheck. So when you're tempted to think, okay, I'm down to my last, well, first of all, it's not your last, right? Because nature abhors a vacuum, and you didn't have just $1 in your account. You probably had several hundred, several thousand, right? And so if you're down to that quote unquote last, then you're pretty good at creating a vacuum, but you haven't gone all the way yet. So go ahead and spend the money fearlessly, create the vacuum, knowing that it's going to be replenished. Set your intention that you expect to see it replenished. And if you feel like you need to, give it a date. something I'm working with now, and I'll just share this, is that the thought came to me last night. I want to buy my groceries before I get paid, right? I'm not looking to wait until my next quote unquote paycheck. I can get paid today or tomorrow, right? It happens to be that at the moment I don't need groceries, but I know that I will. And so I want to be able to just go get my groceries when I want to, when I need to, when I want to, not when I get paid next week or in a few days. And so it's just a matter of setting that new mindset and expecting the corresponding result. All right, so with that, we went through a lot today. So there's a lot to digest between now and Wednesday. I hope that you'll take, something from this and that you can apply into your world and see a result. I'd love to see your comments, sharing with me and the rest what is happening with you by virtue of listening to these videos. There's a lot of good information in there. Everything I'm telling you, not just what I'm reading, because I'm reading these books that I've read lots of them, right? Maybe not this one, but I've read all the others. And I actively am doing it and applying the discipline. And so I know that it works, right? And so if you were to take an aspect of anything that we talk about and have something happen, tell me about it in the comments. We can figure out what's next, right? How to improve it, how to strengthen it, how to make it work for you better and on command. All right, with that, I will say until next time, peace out.